I think acceptance is one of the most profound, most misunderstood spiritual acts a human being can move through. And I want to go deep with you today. I want us to really look at it because when most people hear the word acceptance, they think it means agreement. They think it means you're saying this is fine, or I am okay with this, or I don't care anymore. That is not what acceptance is. Acceptance is not approval, is not pretending something didn't hurt you, or that something wasn't hard, or that you didn't want something to go differently than it did. Acceptance, from where I stand and from everything I've moved through personally and everything I've witnessed in the people I work with, is a spiritual process. It is a spiritual act. And at the center of it, it is something that our minds often resist: surrendering. Now, surrendering is a word that a lot of people flinch at because we've been taught that surrendering means weakness, that it means you gave up. But spiritually, surrendering is one of the most powerful things a human being can do. Surrendering is submitting. It is releasing control. But surrendering to what, right? Surrendering to God, to the universe, to a higher power, to life itself, to whatever you call that intelligence that is bigger than your thinking mind, that knows more than your human eyes can see. You can call it whatever you want. What matters is that you orient yourself towards something beyond the ego, something that holds the bigger picture when you can't. Because when we refuse to surrender, when we hold on, when we resist, when we fight against what is, we cut ourselves off. We enter what I call separation consciousness. We start to feel isolated from ourselves, from other people, from the divine, from the flow of life itself. And in that separation, we suffer. That separation is not our natural state. It feels like it is in those moments. It feels like this is just who you are. This is just how things are. But it's not. It's a contraction. It's the soul forgetting itself. And it is always temporary, even when it doesn't feel that way. Acceptance, then, is the return. It is the moment you stop fighting the current and let yourself be carried. Now, I want to talk about something that I think gets overlooked when we discuss acceptance. The fact that is one thing. Acceptance is not a single act you perform once and then you're done. It is a practice that wears many different faces and it shows up in every corner of your life. Acceptance of who you were. This is one of the hardest ones because who you were, the version of you that made those choices, that said those things, that let people treat you in ways you wouldn't allow today, that version can feel embarrassing, shameful even. We want to distance ourselves from that version. We want to say that wasn't really me, or I didn't know better. But you know better now, and that version of you was real. Acceptance of the past. The past happened. I know that sounds simple, and I know it isn't, but the past is the one thing that cannot be changed, and yet it is often the place where our minds spend the most energy replaying, rewriting, arguing with what was. Acceptance of the past doesn't mean you make peace with everything that happened to you. It means you stop demanding that it be different. You stop positioning yourself as someone that life wronged, and you start positioning yourself as someone that life shaped. There is enormous power in that shift. Acceptance of who you are right now. Not the finished version, not the healed version, not the version you're working toward. This version, the one that is still figuring things out and still healing, still sometimes making the same mistake twice, the one who is imperfect and in process. This version of you deserves to be accepted too. In fact, this version of you especially deserves it because this is the one doing the actual work. Acceptance of other people, of who they are, not who you need them to be, of their limitations, their patterns, their ways of loving that doesn't look like yours, of the fact that some people will not change no matter how much you want them to change, of the fact that some relationships run their courses and that doesn't make them failures. Acceptance of your experiences, even the ones that broke you, the endings, the betrayals, the things that happened that you never asked for and never deserved. Acceptance of this is not saying it was okay. It is saying this happened, it is part of my story, and I choose not to let it define the ceiling of what I'm capable of. And we have also acceptance of your feelings. This one is extremely important because so many of us reject our own emotional experience. We tell ourselves we shouldn't feel jealous, we shouldn't feel angry, we shouldn't still be grieving something. We try to bypass the feeling, to spiritually skip it, to get to the lesson without sitting in the discomfort. But your feelings are not the obstacles to your healing. They are the healing, and accepting them, allowing them to be present and to move through you, to teach you, is one of the most profound acts of self-acceptance there is. All of these are forms of acceptance, and all of them require the same thing at the root: the willingness to let what is real be real without fighting it. The opposite of acceptance is rejection, and its companion is denial. And I want to be very honest with you about what rejection and denial actually are, because I think we underestimate them. We think of rejection as something that happens between two people. You reject someone, someone rejects you. We think of denial as something clinical, something that applies to addiction or trauma, but rejection and denial are things we live inside of every single day in ways we often don't even recognize. When you cannot accept something, you are in some form of rejection or denial, and the face that rejection wears depends on what you're navigating. Sometimes it looks like rejecting a part of yourself, a part that feels too much or not enough, a part that is messy or complicated, or a part that doesn't fit the image you've constructed of who you're supposed to be. You push that part down, you pretend it isn't there, you perform a version of yourself that feels more acceptable to others, to yourself, while that rejected part lives in your shadow. Sometimes it looks like clinging to a version of yourself that no longer serves you. You've outgrown something, a relationship, or maybe a belief, a way of being, but letting go of it feels like losing yourself. So you hold on, even when it hurts, even when it's clearly time, because who you are without it. Because what if nothing comes to replace it? And so you cling. And in clinging, you reject the evolution that is trying to happen through you. Sometimes it looks like refusing to let go of something that didn't align with you anymore. A situation, a person, a chapter, and you know somewhere in you, you know that it has run its course, but acceptance would mean admitting that it's over and that grief is too much to hold. So instead, you reject the truth of it and you stay in the space between, which is one of the most painful places a person can live. And here is what I want you to really hear. When we reject anything, a feeling, a truth, a part of ourselves, a chapter of our lives, we are always simultaneously rejecting a part of ourselves and rejecting the divine. When we are in denial, when we are refusing to accept what is, there is always a belief underneath it. And that belief is usually some version of, this is unfair, or I don't trust that something better is coming, or I don't trust the plan, or the one that cuts deepest is, I don't know if I deserve better. That is not just a wound of self-worth. That is a wound of faith. Because when you cannot trust that the universe, that God, that life itself is moving in your favor, you take everything into your own hands. You try to control the outcome. You try to force things to be the way you need them to be. And in doing that, you reject the very wisdom that could carry you through. And so the rejection becomes layered. You reject the experience, you reject the healing, you reject the part of you that is ready to move forward, and you reject the divine guidance that is trying to reach you through all of it. We always have the capacity to choose better and do better. That capacity does not leave us, it is always there. But in order to access it, we have to accept the divinity within ourselves. We have to accept that there is something in us that is already whole, that the soul in you has never been broken, even when the human part of you has felt shattered, and that this soul is in constant communion with something larger, with the intelligence that moves through everything, and that it knows what you cannot always see from where you're standing. Co-creation is such an important concept to me because it's not about giving up, it's not about being passive. It's about understanding that you are not meant to carry the full weight of your life with only your limited human mind. When you are in your soul, not in your ego and not in your mind, you already know that everything is happening for you. You already know that what is ending is making space. You already know that the pain has purpose. You are not alone in this. What is unfolding in your life, even the parts that feels like failure, is moving towards something your ego cannot yet see, and your soul already knows. You are not separate from God. You never were. That was always only a story the mind told you when it was afraid. Take care of you.